You're listening to all of it on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. Look, sometimes the best bar is a dive bar, a place where beers are cheap, the music is good, the bathrooms are gross, and time seems to stop. In a time when third spaces are increasingly rare, a place to socialize that's not work or school, a great local watering hole can provide a much-needed gathering spot to hang out with your neighbors, meet new people, make friends with your bartender, karaoke and darts, both optional, often appreciated. Condé Nast Traveler has put together a list called 20 New York City Dive Bars We Love. And here to walk us through the list is Megan Sporrell, Senior Feature Editors at Condé Nast Traveler. Hey, Megan.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going forward. Listeners, we want to hear from you. What's your favorite dive bar in New York City? What do you love about going to a dive bar? Give us a call. 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. How did you define a dive bar for this article?
It was, we did start with some of the features you mentioned. So we were like, if the floors are not sticky, we're not sure. The bathroom has to be a little intimidating, but worth it to be there. But just, you said it really well. These third spaces where you feel like you can go, you can be a regular, the bartenders, and the drinks are cheap. And obviously, some of them have some perks. They have games, they have free snacks if you're lucky, but it's just, the spaces that don't cost a lot to be in and they all have their quirks.
It's like after looking at your list, I apparently only go to dive bars. I only go to dive bars, apparently. When do people find themselves gravitating towards dive bars?
I mean, it's funny because living in New York, we're lucky to have so many, even in a city that's known for being so expensive. There are still places in, again, the West Village, or I mean, I live in Bed-Stuy where we have some great ones, Williamsburg, these neighborhoods that are, have a lot of luxury bars as well and really nice cocktail bars. You will still find a place to get a really cheap draft beer. And I think, trying to figure out the best ones, we were just like, what are these places that really could only exist here? They have a spirit to them. They represent the neighborhood. And I think that's what people are looking for, right? It feels increasingly rare to find these slices of old New York, and dive bars really are it.
What's the role of the regular at a dive bar?
I mean, beyond just, someone great to chat with, I think it's meaningful to feel like you can go somewhere and see a familiar face again, whether it's someone who's at the bar every Tuesday for Jeopardy night or the bartender. But I think, the great thing about a dive is anyone can be a regular. There's not a high cost of entry. So it's just about showing up.
When you think about going to a dive bar, are there things that you should not do before we get into the list?
Well, I think the thing you should not do is assume they take credit card. I think a
Yes.
dive bar means showing up with cash and making sure you have singles to tip your bartender. Um,
Always tip your bartender, everybody.
Always. And I think, again, there's a tip for being a regular. But also, I mean, if you walk in and your floors are sticking or your shoes are sticking to the floor, don't go up with some very complicated cocktail order. I mean, talk about the quickest way to get an eye roll.
It's interesting. We talked about when we were talking about this among the team, we were talking about how like you kind of lose track of time in a bar.
Totally.
What do you think is it about a dive bar that helps you lose track of time?
I Something happens on the space-time continuum when you walk into one of these places. I just feel like it is our team was also talking about this when we put together the list where it's just like time disappears. You look up and 6 hours have passed and the tab's been going and it still hasn't gotten that high. And I think it's just there's got to be an ambiance. There's got to be a good playlist going. Maybe there are games, so you're waiting for your turn at the pool table, but you just get lost talking to people, and the beers certainly help.
We've gotten texts already. It says Pharrell's in Windsor Terrace. This says Starlight Tavern and Ore Bar were my very favorite local spots in East Williamsburg. My favorite thing about dive bars are their vintage beer memorabilia.
I love that, like a stained glass lampshade.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Let's talk to Damien in Irvington, New York. Hey, Damien, thank you so much for making
Hey,
the time to tell all of it.
hey, yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to my favorite bar. I don't know if I'd call it a dive bar. I don't really love the term personally, but Peter McManus
Ah,
on 7th and 19th is been long kind of an improv comedy bar for a long time and spent so many nights, like, seriously there until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on like a Tuesday. I also love that it's also kind of a cop bar. So you'll see like detectives and comedians and just random people hanging out. And it's family run and has been for just decades and decades. So it's just really a gem.
Yes, you'll also see your local radio host at Peter McManus. for the record. We are talking about the best dive bars in New York City. My guest is Megan Sporrell, senior features editor at Condé Nast Traveler, who worked on the new list, 20 New York City dive bars. We love listeners. We want to hear your favorite dive bar in New York City. Give us a call at 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. Okay, let's dive into your list, pun intended. Let's start with your personal favorites. Jimmy's Corner at 140 West 44th Street in Midtown. A classic.
A classic. And, I mean, there's a huge fight to save it right now, which I also think is part of what makes dive bars special is this feeling that they've been there forever. And also, if you ever lost them, it would just be the biggest devastation to the neighborhood. And I think, Jimmy's Corner is, you can be in Times Square, showing people around from out of town, and you kind of feel as someone who lives here, like you're a bit out of your element, but it's always like, I know where we should go. And you go to Jimmy's and the drinks are cheap. And I always see people I know there, and you could be sitting next to a group of tourists speaking another language, or a Times Square performer in costume. And I think it's just, where else do you get that?
Yeah, you mentioned that the building is in trouble in some way. Would you explain that for us?
Yeah, so I don't want to get, too specific because I probably don't have all the details accurate, but I think, they're having a battle with the landlords and they might have to close. There was a rally there last Friday. I know there's probably going to be some more actions about rent stabilization and how to keep bars like this, in a place where the real estate's always becoming increasingly valuable. But yeah, you can definitely follow Jimmy's Corner on Instagram and kind of stay in the loop on what you can do to support it, because we need that bar as our little locals outlet in Times Square.
This text says, American cheese in Park Slope. The floors aren't sticky, but the bathrooms are pretty scary.
That's good. That's a marker.
All right. If you love karaoke, the dive bar for you is Montero Bar and Grill, which is on 73 Atlantic Ave in Brooklyn Heights. What are the karaoke vibes like there?
So this is one of those places where the karaoke is in the middle of the bar. There's no private rooms, there's no back area. It's if you walk in at night when it's in full swing, you are walking into the stage. People are standing there kind of surrounded by everyone. There's a very iconic woman who runs it named Amethyst, and she is a great performer herself. So if you stick around all night, you will see her get up there. And yeah, that's a fun one. You'll see all skill levels singing.
Oh, so you don't have to be a great songstress to be here?
Oh, well, again, the drinks are cheap for a reason. You do not have to be talented. You just have to have the will.
Let's talk to Richard from Sparta, New Jersey. Hey, Richard, you're on the air.
Hey, how are you?
Doing okay.
We love Puffy's Tavern at Harrison and Hudson.
Ooh, that's a good one. Why do
It's
you
got
like
a great
Puffy's?
vibe. It's a great vibe. Bathroom's a little stinky, and I think that kind of falls into the right category, though.
Richard, thanks for calling. Let's talk to Kevin from Rockaway. Hey, Kevin, thanks for making the time to call all of it.
Hey, yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I have to agree with an earlier caller who said he wasn't crazy about the term dive bar. And one of the places that I worked, probably I bartended for over 20 years, mostly all neighborhood bars. I grew up in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, which is like an Irish Italian neighborhood. At one time there were more bars per square. Literally on every corner, right? And dive bar was a bit of an epithet. You know what I mean? It was like you had working class bars and you had buckets of blood. And Montero, I'm 58 now. When I was growing up, I remember my father pointing that place out to me and being like, "Don't go in there," because I had two grandfathers who were longshoremen, and there was still the docks were still going, I guess, and that was a good place to get stabbed in way back in the day. But the one I prefer the term inexpensive or just neighborhood or working class bar. I don't.
You know what? I appreciate what you have to say there. I appreciate your chiming in on this story. We lost Liz in Queens, but Liz says a dive bar that used to be the Subway Inn was at 60th and Lexington. The glasses were dirty. It was dark, but the music was good. Tell me a little bit of why music matters in these dive bars or neighborhood bars, as people like to call them.
Well, I think, and I will just say on the dive thing, I think it's also kind of a lovingly reclamation of something that maybe someone said
True.
at one point, not lovingly, but embracing it. And I think, but I hear it as well. And one of the bars we mentioned is Sunny's down in Red Hook, which is just already such a great community-based neighborhood. And they have live music 6 out of 7 nights of the week. And I think it's just something where, again, these bars we're talking about, it doesn't have to be expensive to feel special. And I think bringing in local bands, it makes you want to stay, it makes you want to linger, gives you a reason to go. Maybe it's a Tuesday and you don't really need to go out to a bar, but you're like, well, there's going to be music on. We could go for one drink. And I think they do a lot of bluegrass, and it feels special. You connect with other people and you can just enjoy the atmosphere.
And you have one more spot that you wanted to mention before we go to break in Fi-Dye Fish Market?
Absolutely. So this is actually our team's go-to happy hour spot. And it's just amazing because I think in Fi-Dye, it can be hard to find these older spots. And they've got, cheap drinks always. There are free shots of Jameson that get floated around I've tried to time it. I think it's about every 30 to 45 minutes. And they also have one of the owner's moms is in the kitchen cooking Malaysian food, and it is fantastic. And so that's a fun twist. You can get a little bite while you're starting to get your drinks.
Listeners, we want to hear about your favorite dive bar or neighborhood bar in New York City. Give us a call at 212-433-WNYC, 212-433-9692. We'll be right back. You're listening to All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. My guest is Megan Spurrell. She is senior features editor at Condé Nast Traveler. We're talking about their list of 20 New York City dive bars that we love. We've been asking for your opinion. What is your favorite neighborhood dive bar? This says, check out the Essence Bar and Grill beside Brooklyn Sunday, 10 o'clock live band, Jimmy Hill and the All-Stars. After about a half an hour break, you'll be up there for open mic to play music. Bring your harmonica. This says best dive bar, even though lots of tourists know about it, Rudy's on 9th Avenue. And this is a question, Megan. Maybe you can answer it. For someone who doesn't like beer, what would be a cocktail that you would recommend would be good if you ordered at a dive bar?
Oh, don't worry. I have plenty of experience on this. I did a lot of research. So I think the easiest drink to get that can work with, spirits or whatever is I always do a something soda. So if I'm wanting to start light, I do a Campari soda if I see Campari over there. I like to do sometimes a tequila soda, vodka soda. I think just look for the bottle that you like of whatever spirit. Definitely doesn't have to have a beer. Also, another bar on our list, Do or Dive. Sometimes they have a hard kombucha on tap. And so they have that with the beers, and I like that a lot. But yeah, I think it's just the key to ordering properly at a dive bar is looking at what's up against the wall before you ask for your special martini. Get a sense of what they're working with.
This text says, Larry's Pub in Valley Stream on Long Island. My godfather managed the bar in the 80s, so I essentially grew up on their pool table.
That sounds like a good place to grow up.
Let's talk to Tom, who's calling in from Williamsburg. Hey, Tom, thanks for calling All of It. You're on the air.
Hey, Allison. Thanks for taking my call. Long time, second time caller. I want to bring up 3 bars that I liked and like now. One is Iona here in Williamsburg, which has been around for 25 years. They celebrated last year, 25 years. It's a great, it's a Scottish-British bar. Soccer on the weekends, or actually whenever soccer is on. And then Castro's, and I think it's on East 4th Street. It's been there forever. It's also known as the Fish Bar because they have fish decorations all over. And then the last one is the old Triple Inn, which doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be on, I think it was 55th Street between 8th and Broadway.
Oh, that was a
my
great
favorite.
place. Oh, thanks for bringing out the good memories. Let's talk to Olivia in Astoria. Hey, Olivia, thanks for calling all of it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Where do you like to go?
So I love Mad Donkey in Astoria. It's one of my favorite places. It's like an old school dive bar. They have cheap pub food. They have cheap draft beer. And also the great thing is they have free peanuts. And you have to throw the peanut shells on the floor. So that's the whole thing of going there.
Of course you do. Thanks for calling in, Olivia. Let's talk about Williamsburg. That's where Tom called us from. Where can we go in Williamsburg if we want to have a good drink?
Well, I love that Iona came up because I love that bar, and I think that's going to be a great bar during the World Cup when Scotland is playing. I think there's also Banter nearby, which is on our list. Jess Chappell wrote about it, and it is a great spot to see soccer games playing, similar vibes. I also love, I mean, this is so hard narrowing our list down to 20. We'll definitely have to expand it later because there's others. But, I think the entire Puerto Rican community is going to know Tonitas there. That is a cheap, fun bar if you want to go and kind of feel like you've transported yourself to Puerto Rico for a bit. There's so many.
I have to ask about the coffee thing at Rockarola.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, a few
What's the
bars.
coffee thing?
It is the coffee thing. So it's this boozy coffee drink that's in one of those, blue iconic New York coffee cups. And it's blended and it has, I think there's like Kahlua, there's a bunch of stuff in it. It's just like a sweet frozen blended coffee drink. And they have it at Rockarola, but also Do or Dive, owned by the same people, Turtles all the way down. So that is a fun way to feel like you're eating dessert and having a drink.
We've gotten so many good texts. This says Fish Bar, 5th and 2nd always shot and beer specials, plus Beatles sing-along on Sunday afternoons. The Rose Den on Beach 116th Street in Rockaway meets most criteria. Music, drinks, food. This is Down the Hatch on West 4th Street. So sticky but delicious. This says the best dive bar from way back, the Old Town on East 18th Street. Let's talk to Nat on Staten Island. Hey, Nat, thanks for calling all of it.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Thank you. I'm just calling in to give a little shout out for Staten Island. I haven't heard Staten Island mentioned. We lost one of the great dive bars and maybe the oldest. We were always told it was the oldest continually operated dive bar in New York, which was Leedy's Bayshore Inn, which we lost a year and a half ago. So currently, our best dive bar is the Bay Street Tavern, which has music multiple nights a week. And a disclaimer, I'm one of the musicians that plays at the bar, so it's a little bit of a shameless plug. But
okay.
Wednesday nights, they have an open jam with legendary Jimmy Mack of Staten Island, who hosts a jam, and all are welcome. And the food is great, and the people are interesting. There's all sorts of different people, Coast Guard people, people that come working at the Fort Wadsworth, government people, regular people, all kinds of people. You don't know who you're going to run into there. The food's great, staff's great, and yeah.
It all sounds great. Thanks for calling in, Nat. Let's go to the Lower East Side. You're recommending 169 Bar, which has a very funky interior. How would you describe the vibe there?
It kind of feels like you've gone to an estate sale or something that's just sort of exploded everywhere. There's all this fun decor inside, and my colleague Bridget Knowles wrote about it. And just you might see neon posters and lots of tropical decor. They have a pickle martini there, and of course a pickleback shot. So that's fun. Also, 169, I feel like, has shown up in different TV shows over the years. So it will get people coming to kind of check out the spots from their favorite shows. But again, they're always going. It's always cheap. It gets packed, which can be really fun too. And it's right in the heart of the Lower East Side.
Let's talk to Ted in Nassau County. Hi, Ted. Thanks for calling all of it. You're on the air.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I grew up in Manhattan, and on 7th Street, there's a McSorley's Old Ale House right off 3rd Avenue. I used to live right next door, and they serve Bermuda onions with hot Chinese mustard on crackers and sawdust on the floor. They got memorabilia all over the walls. People carved their initials into the tables, and now it's women are allowed. When I grew up there, women were not allowed. They had a Navy bell at the door, And if a woman would come in or a guy would come in with a date, they would ring the bell and they would chase them out. And now it transitioned into a woman, of course, are allowed now from the late 60s. And when I was there, they had only one urinal.
Oh.
And the boyfriends would stand at the door and when the girlfriend went in to do her business. And now they have, by law, they have a women's bathroom now. So it was fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to hear that they are up to date and have a women's bathroom. Thanks for calling in, Ted. We appreciated that story. Another East Village spot, Doc Holidays at 141 Avenue A. They call themselves the OG honky tonk in New York City. What does that mean?
Well, they kind of have a Texas Roadhouse vibe going on there. It's right across from Tompkins Square. And there's my colleague Hannah, who wrote about this, mentioned there's, a chalkboard outside that says take your sense of entitlement elsewhere. I think that's a perfect descriptor of a honky tonk dive bar attitude. But there's country music on the jukebox, there's boots hanging from the ceiling. So it's keeping that East Village energy alive.
You've mentioned Do or Die in Bed-Stuy. We've talked about Sonny's Red Hook. Let's talk about the West Village. You can still go to a dive bar in the West Village?
There are several, if you can believe it. We covered Barrow's Pub is one where you're definitely going to see, great Budweiser signs all lit up. And there's a pool table, some alt rock playing. Where else? You do have Stonewall over there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't forget. There's a Kettle of Fish, another one we love. Pinball. Games are a big element at dive bars, aren't they?
They are a big element at dive bars. Let's get Raphael in here calling from Montclair, New Jersey. You want to give Jersey a shout out? Go, Raphael.
Yes, greetings. I tell you, you must go to Tierney's on Valley Road, Montclair. It is the oldest contiguous bar in New Jersey. That bar opened in 1929 and didn't close during Prohibition. Not a single day. And it's got the baddest wings you can possibly find. And the coldest Guinness stouts this side of the Atlantic.
I'm embarrassed how many of these places I've been to. Tierney's is great.
I know.
We didn't get to Queens. What would you recommend in Queens?
Let me think of where I go in Queens.
Is it Bonus Room?
So much time... Huh?
The Bonus Room, is that Queens?
I'm trying to remember. Spent a lot of time in Brooklyn and Manhattan, but I feel like we've gotten some good ones. Yeah, Bonus Room is more, I guess, Ridgewood. Yeah, so Bushwick, Ridgewood, you could split hairs there, but they do have a $2 beer.
Oh.
During happy hour on Friday. So that's not bad.
And that's all. Yeah, that's really all you had to say.
Yeah.
If you want to read the article, 20 New York City dive bars we love, you can read it in Condé Nast Traveler. I've been speaking with their senior features editor, Megan Spurrell. Thanks for joining us, Megan.
Thanks for having me. Go support your local dive.
Absolutely. And again, listeners, this conversation, the transcripts, they'll be up probably tomorrow, so you can check out all of these places. You have been listening to all of it. I'm Allison Stewart. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you. I will meet you back here tomorrow.